the hijab ban that's shaking French soccer. In a controversial ruling that has reignited the debate on the principle of laïcité, France's highest administrative court, the Council of State, has declared that the country's soccer federation, the French Football Federation, or FFF for short, can prohibit players from wearing headscarves during matches. The decision was made after a group of soccer players known as, I can't pronounce anything in French, les Hijabeuses, I'm assuming, who wear religious headscarves, took legal actions against FFF's ban. The court stated that sports federations in France, quote, may impose on their players an obligation to wear neutral clothing during sporting competitions and events in order to guarantee the smooth running of matches and prevent clashes or confrontation. It considers the ban imposed by the FFF as appropriate and proportionate. This ruling deviates from global soccer governing bodies FIFA's recommendations, which permits players to wear headscarves during international matches. In response, the FFF reaffirmed, quote, its Republican and civic values that underpin soccer and its total commitment to combating all forms of discrimination and promoting gender equality. However, this move has provoked concerns about the impact on the upcoming 2024 Paris Olympics and individual players' rights to express their religious beliefs. As French Interior Minister Gerard Darmanin stated, you don't wear religious clothes when you play sports. When you play soccer, you don't need to know the religion of the person in front of you. Armin, what do you think about banning the hijab in soccer?
I don't understand the argument. Why would you ban this?
So basically, this has to do with France's interpretation of secularism and laïcité, meaning that when you are representing the government, you should be neutral of all religious symbols, right? And so, in certain contexts, when you're playing football, you are representing France as a government, right? And then so they're saying, okay, you're not allowed to wear the hijab. During some previous legislation that like failed to pass, they tried to say that wearing a hijab was actually like a safety concern, which is a little bit funny to me because I'm like imagining some cartoonish instance where like you fall and then you get like caught on a shoe and then you're choked by your hijab. Like, if we're being realistic, the safety concerns about hijab are like really overblown, right? In this context, in my personal opinion. So it has more to do with, and from their perspective, maintaining neutrality. But other people have come forward and said, okay, but soccer players, when they're walking on the pitch all the time, they'll like do the sign of the cross before they do a match. Like, what about that? What about those instances? But they're saying that this is a move to remain neutral, that you don't need to know the religion of the person in front of you. And also, it's towards combating forms of discrimination and promoting gender equality.
I think, okay, I think this is being selected. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so when it comes to safety concern, I think that's bullcrap. Like, let's look at this.
Oh,
Like,
I mean,
how could this be a safety issue?
yeah,
What could
safety
this do
concerns
to
is
you?
complete nonsense.
Yeah, I think, and because there's raising safety issues with this, like, I don't know, maybe this is a safety issue because this seems, no, that's not. This is not even a safety issue. This cannot be a safety issue. So because they're saying it's a safety issue and it's not a safety issue, I think they are being selective against Islam,
Well, I should be clear.
but they're making stuff up.
The safety issue thing was used in towards a ban that actually failed to pass. So that was a separate issue. For this specific new issue, they are not using safety as the reasoning. Let me be clear.
I know, but the
In this
fact that
case,
they tried, I understand that. Let me hear me out. The fact that they tried to use safety issue for something that has no safety issue, to me seems like they're just, you know, what is it called? Just like using any excuse that they could find because they want to just be anti-hijab. And again, I could buy the other argument that okay, this is the team of a country and it's taxpayer money, and you're not supposed. And we're a secular country and laicity and stuff, so you are representing the country, so you can't have a religious brand. That might make more sense until you think about it, that they had no issues ever. This was never a problem when soccer players were like, whenever they score something, they would like thank God or thank Jesus right on the field. Nobody came and said like, okay, stop it, cut it out, guys, this is Christianity and this is represents a country and France doesn't. Did people, I mean, were they ever, did they raise it ever over there? I don't think they did, right?
I mean, to my knowledge, I could be wrong. I've never heard of any issue being raised about that.
Okay, so seems selective to me. Again, I'm against Islam, I'm against hijab, I'm against modesty culture, but I'm also against lying and pretending that you're doing something when you're doing something else. I'm against inconsistency. Um, so even though I'm against the hijab and I'm against Islam, I think that they are applying these rules selectively and they are lying about their intentions.
So, what do you think, taking those factors out of it, what do you think about this idea about keeping things neutral in general? Like, if that was their model and if they were consistent, what would you think about a policy like this?
Um,
Because I
it
think we talked about
seems,
this kind of legislation before
yep.
and you actually supported it.
Yeah, I would be supportive of it if you are honest about that being what it is and if you're consistent. Okay? If I figure out that you are just you're trying to make life difficult for Muslims and you're using the neutrality argument as an excuse, then I would be against it. But if I somehow find that no, it is actually because of neutrality, if I could find out somehow that no, this is genuinely about trying to keep it neutral, then I would be for it. Sometimes I suspect that they are saying this is about neutrality, but they are sometimes maybe this is wrong, but sometimes when I see what's happening, sometimes I think like no, you're just being anti-Muslim. Again, I don't know. I don't know. I am skeptical about the intentions here. But yeah, I would be for it if they were being consistent across all religions. They were as aggressive against any signs of Christianity or Hinduism or Sikhism, if they're consistent. And if I somehow figure out that the genuine intention is neutrality, then I would support it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. But yeah, somehow I think like, and given that their record shows that they were like using like safety concerns to begin with, to me it's, I am, I think it's makes sense to you for you to be skeptical about what they're trying to do here. Let me see what other people thinking. Sport is sport, not propaganda. Okay, so this person is talking about neutrality of it. France adopts freedom from religion ideology, which I support. Yeah, again, freedom from religion, I hope, not from Islam. I hope it's consistent. If that's the case, I would support it. Funny how USCIRF will never call out European countries, or State Department will ever list a European country as one of concern. What is this English with regards
So
to religious freedoms? What are they trying to say here?
they're referring to the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom that puts out annual religious freedom reports, and actually they do call out European countries. So because I read those reports
Okay.
because I'm a nerd.
Um, saying no, that's somebody saying no, that's France's dress code. Just like people can't wear bikini in Muslim countries, hijab is not allowed in France. Hijab is allowed in France. Hijab, what are you people talking about? Hijab is allowed in France. What's not allowed in France is for you to wear the hijab when you're representing the entirety of the country. That's what's not allowed. Some people think hijab is illegal in France. I've been to France. I've been to Paris. There's entire neighborhoods of people that are wearing the hijab. Yeah. So, anything you want to highlight in the live chat?
No.
Okay. Well, okay, let me just highlight Kenny's comment. Kenny's saying, yes, if you are publicly representing a state, it should be neutral. I don't think they should be doing Christian stuff either. Yes, but Kenny, would you agree that if you realize that this neutrality is an excuse for something else, would you have a concern with it? I agree. If the actual intention is neutrality and they are consistent, then I would support it. But if you find out that they have there's a different motivation behind this, then wouldn't you be concerned about this policy? Also, may I humbly, not humbly at all, brag about the fact that we are critical of France, which we support, right? Because Oxymoron was in the live chat consisting that we are tribal and that we are not selective against religious communities and not self-critical against secular ones. However, we have been very trying because it is so easy for us because we are against Islam, we're against hijab, we're against modesty culture, we are for laïcité, we're for secularism. So it's the easier position for us is, and France is a role model. Like France is the number one country that does secularism right. Um, Most places. So it would be just easier for us every time France is mentioned to be like, yes, hail France, long live France, and just be like, yes, Daddy France doing, showing Islam, taking a strong position against Islam again, and just be like, thank you, France. That would be the easier position for us to take all the time, right? Because we are, if we were tribal, if we were collective, but I try to be more skeptical about France because it's within our tribe, because they are the mother of liberal values, of enlightenment values. So because we might, if I defend everything France does, it might be dogmatic because it's easier to defend the people that are on your side. You see how every time France is mentioned, we are trying to be extra skeptical just to be careful that we're not following that tribal mindset. So be like, okay, they shut down, like, remember, Susie, like they shut down some mosques. Like, okay, we like we're against the teachings of mosques, but let's see, our freedoms of speech being violated here. Like we become extra skeptical when people are doing things that we're supposed to be liking. So they're wrong. Oxymoron, you're wrong. When you are saying like we are doing this right, we are applying neutrality and skepticism and fairness. I think we're doing a very good job at this channel to try to be careful with all of that, right?